Okay, let's dive back into the rom-com subject one more time. A woman decides to have a baby and then immediately meets the man of her dreams. That is basically the plot of the backup plan. And while the premise is intriguing, that execution is a mixed bag. Hello, everyone. My name is Zahria, and welcome to Let's Review, a series where I watch movies either for the first time or again in a really long time and analyze them, giving my perspective on the film as a person who's trying to break into the industry and who just loves to watch media. As you may have seen from the title, I just watched The Backup Plan, and I have some thoughts on the movie. The Backup Plan is a 2010 romantic comedy written by Kate Angelo and directed by Alan Paul, which is the first and only featured film that he's directed. It stars Jennifer Lopez and Alex Olatley, with surprise appearances like Anthony Anderson and Melissa McCartney, and also Michaela Watkins. Originally, this film was titled Plan B, which I think I kind of like that name a little bit better than The Backup Plan. But anyway, let's get into the plot really quick. It centers Zoe, Jennifer Lopez, an independent and successful pet store owner who has it set in her mind that she's tired of waiting for love to work out in her favor after having failed relationship over and over and over again. Feeling like she's never going to find Mr. Right, she decides that that dream is dead and wants to control her future by having a baby on her own through artificial insemination. So she did what any person would do and found a group of people who are in similar circumstances as her. So she joined a single moms club. In this club, she finds that there is a high chance that she won't get pregnant on the first go, which upsets her because it's expensive. But she's willing to take that chance anyway because this is something that she really wants. After she gets this insemination, she meets Stan, Alex Olatlin, a charming, emotionally cautious man, in a taxi that they both tried to hail at the same time, out of all places. They chat and flirt with each other a little bit after the taxi leaves them for wasting his time. During this talk, they mention luck, which prompts Stan to looking around and so happen to find a penny on the ground. Zoe sees it and tells him, "You never pick up a penny that's turned over on its head." She turns the penny over and tells him it's luck for the next person who finds it, which, as she walks away from him, he decides to pick up for himself. Guess he was feeling lucky. They run into each other 2 more times after this situation. The first time being the local farmer's market where she finds out that he's actually a cheesemaker. A very interesting job. But he loves it, and he's decided that he wants to get to know her more. So he asked her what she did, and she told him, "I own a pet store." Wanting to get to know her more, he goes to her pet shop where she's hosting a book signing to try his chances one more time to convince her to go on a no obligations date with him. She becomes very weary of going on a date with him and fears that she is pregnant and he will just go running for the hills. The night of the date, she goes to take a pregnancy test, and as she's about to learn the results of if she's pregnant or not, her cute dog, Nut, eats the test. During the date, she kind of battles on whether or not she should tell him that this is a possibility, but she doesn't know if it is, and she doesn't want to tell him if she doesn't know if she's actually is going to. So she decides not to. The date is cute. We get to learn a lot more about these 2 characters, such as if their parents were in the picture, which she was raised by her grandmother and he was raised by his parents that ended up moving to Arizona. So he now takes over his parents' farm. We learn a lot of interesting things about these 2 characters within this scene. And the date goes pretty well for the most part until it doesn't, because it's a rom-com. The first date always has to go wrong. They ultimately connect over their love of their family, and as the date concludes, he asks her if she would want to go on a romantic getaway weekend to his family's farm, which she skeptically says, "Maybe, I'll call you." But we know that she says yes because quite literally, she goes to the farm. But when she goes into her house after this date is over, she sees that Nuts threw up over the floor and finds the pregnancy test still intact. She's pregnant. Shock. So, as I said, she agrees to go on the getaway weekend to the farm, but she battles on whether or not telling him of her surprise, for lack of better terms. After a day of learning more about each other and realizing she might have found the perfect man, they do the deed in which he tells her he thinks that he is falling in love with her, which she now knows that she cannot hold this secret in for much longer. And so after she tells him she's having a baby. But this doesn't turn out exactly how she wanted it to because Stan becomes very upset and shocked and confused and upset because he is like, why didn't you tell me you were pregnant before? And she's like, well, it was kind of like my business, but you just kind of told me you loved me. So yeah, I kind of had to tell you. Which, yeah, I guess they both, yeah, whatever. Yeah, maybe she should have mentioned that they went on their date. But she didn't know. So, you can't blame her. She takes his reaction to the news as a negative and that he's no longer interested in her. So she leaves the next morning while he's sleeping. But Stan wasn't going to give up that easily. He still really, really liked her, and he wanted to give the relationship another try. And so they reconcile. He becomes all in this relationship, so much to the point that he joined her when one of her single mom friends was going into labor in her house. That scene was very crazy, very gnarly. She gives birth in an inflatable pool, and he's there with her, helping them while this all happens. It's actually very cute. During the checkup appointment, Zoe and Stan finds out that she will actually be having twins, which overwhelms Stan to say the least. He starts to worry about financial uncertainty. He owns a farm, he owns his cheese making business. His dream is to open up a restaurant that serves vegan food. Going back to school, he wants to learn business. He is not in any financial strengths to take on one baby, let alone two. So this becomes an eternal battle for him in which he becomes very stressed. Adding on the fact that he just met this lady a couple months ago. She's pregnant. He likes her, really, really likes her. She's pregnant. He's about to become a dad. He just met her. Finds out he's going to become a dad. It's okay, I can possibly do that. Then finds out that he's not just going to be a dad for one, he's going to be a dad for two. Stan got a lot of things on his plate. So I'm not too mad at Stan for being stressed out. Not knowing where to go, what to do, he finds himself pondering life at a playground of all places where there's children. Being mistaken as a pervert, he finds comfort in a father that is there with his children. And he gives him some solid advice on becoming a parent and what it's like and the feelings. And although it may be hard, he loves his children and he wouldn't change that for the world, and how his children made him love his wife even more. And that kind of gives Stan some hope for the future. Zoe, on the other hand, she gets kicked out of the single moms group for no longer being single, which leaves her with very little support from anyone. Stan starts to lean into the role of being a father a lot more, and without telling Zoe, he commissions a custom-built stroller for the twins as a handy net. Zoe, on the other hand, becomes nervous at the prospect of maybe Stan might like this now, but might not want to stick around, while Zoe, on the other hand, becomes a nervous wreck over the prospect of how Stan might treat the children when they're actually there. I mean, they're not biologically his. She gets very insecure about how that's gonna look and if he's gonna want to stay, because she knows this was any other guy, they probably wouldn't stick around. She doesn't realize that Stan is not any other guy. The pair goes out on a date at the farmer's market where they run into Stan's ex-girlfriend. She's obviously shocked because, whoa, stopped seeing each other a couple months ago and you already have a lady pregnant. That's kind of crazy. Stan told her he would never want to have kids. Kids was the last thing on his bucket list. In which he's telling her, well, Zoe is pregnant. Zoe's not my new girl. But these babies are not mine. So don't be too shocked. They're not I didn't get her pregnant. And which makes Zoe look at him oh, he didn't tell me that. Crazy. That's something I didn't know, In which Stan corrects her and tells her that the twins are not his, which makes Zoe very, very, very irate, kind of confirming her already made up suspicion that he wouldn't think of the kids as his own. She breaks off the relationship right then and there. They get into a huge fight. They end up breaking up. She walks away from him. Now depressed over another failed relationship, Zoe realizes she's not going to be able to go through this on her own. Her grandmother, who is planning her own wedding, tells Zoe that she shouldn't give up on Stan and to give him another chance. He's only messed up once, and maybe she's overreacting with the hormones and everything. But Zoe's stubborn. She's not falling for that. Time goes on. The wedding day is approaching. Her grandmother tries one more time to get through to her, and it doesn't work until there's a knock on the door with a delivery. The custom-built stroller that Stan made for her earlier in the movie was delivered, and it had all the gadgets on it. I'm telling you, he went like above and beyond for this damn stroller. And it wasn't until then she realizes, I messed up. I pushed away the guy that was going to stay, which she starts racking her brain because she's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I have to talk to him, but it's her grandmother's wedding day, so she kind of can't. And plus, they were gonna be late to the wedding, so they kind of had to go. As the wedding proceeds, all Zoe can think about is Stan. She's calling him, she's texting him, he's not answering her. With all of the stress that she is putting her body through now, she ends up going into labor. They rush off to the hospital with everyone packed in the car. She asks the driver to make one pit stop, the farmer's market, where she knew Stan was going to be selling his cheese. She gets out the car, apologizes to Stan in so many words. They bicker back and forth of who was right and who was wrong, and he was going to stay and trust, in which she tells him, okay, yeah, I could have possibly been wrong, but you were also wrong too in certain things of the situation, nuances. But ultimately, they begin to try to work out their relationship. They talk over the things that went wrong, the things that happened, and why there can be trust in their relationship. And we find out it's because Zoe's been burned so many times that she unfortunately thought that he was like the others. But they have no more time for talking. She's going through labor. So they get back into the car and they rush off to the hospital where they're continuing this conversation. As they're in a delivery room, he pulls out the penny that he found and she flipped over the very first time that they met. She now actually realizes that it was always going to be her for him. So she promises him she will have more trust in him in this relationship, which he appreciates. She gives birth, in which she names one of the girls Penny. It cuts to a couple months later. They're at the grand opening of Stan's Dream Restaurant, which so happens to be right next to Zoe's pet store. At this grand opening, Stan proposes to Zoe, which she obviously accepts. They have a cute conversation on their way home, which Zoe suddenly becomes sick and throws up in a nearby trash can. Shocked that she's been sick for a couple of days, they come to the realization that she might be pregnant yet again, and the movie ends. So it's be like a little cute, like, is she pregnant? Is she not? Kind of thing. Okay, now that we've gotten the plot out the way, let's get into the acting and chemistry. J-Lo, 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 J-Lo. Where do I start? You know what? She actually surprised me during this movie. Her acting wasn't bad. I think the only J-Lo film that I really like is Selena. Granted, I have not watched a lot of J-Lo films. I've seen Monster-in-Law, and I remember liking that or thinking that that one was okay. I haven't seen it in so long. I think the last time I seen that movie I was probably or 7 or something. Like, I have not seen that movie in a really long time. And comedy is one of those things that are truly like hit or miss. When people say that comedy is subjective, it truly is, because there were some scenes in the movie where I laughed. I thought it was funny. And there were some scenes where I was like, yeah, that kind of like fell flat. Like it was very, it's very hit or miss with the comedy, honestly. There are very few celebrities that I feel this way about. But I think that if Jennifer Lopez put as much effort in her music into her acting, that she would be a phenomenal performer in the acting world. I might not be the biggest JLo fan from what I know of her, of what she gives to us on the internet. I can give her due, although she might have some trouble doing that herself. Alex O'Loughlin played Stan well. He was charming and stunning. He hit a lot of his comedic parts well, I would say. While it's Jennifer, you can tell there were some parts comedic wise that was supposed to make people laugh that didn't, or it didn't make me laugh, I would say. But I'm not gonna knock her too much. Comedy is just subjective. I don't think if anyone did those comedic things that it would have been funny to me. So that's why I'm not knocking her on that. But He hit his comedic parts well. Again, there were some scenes where I'm like, okay, this was supposed to be funny. Do I think this was funny? No. But there were more parts in the movie that he did that was funnier, if that makes sense. As I was doing my research after I watched the film, I found out that he is Australian, which colored me shocked because I would have never guessed that, like, at all. I know that he was in Hawaii Five-0. I have never seen that show. I know it has a crazy big fan base, but I will say, although I've never seen it, his performance in here made me kind of want to watch it. So I will be adding that on the very long list of things to watch. Now, chemistry. Chemistry, on the other hand, was a bit iffy for me, personally. For me. I'm speaking for myself. It was really lacking for me. Like, I wish that it didn't. Like, when you're watching a rom-com, you want to see the chemistry between the two characters. Like, you want there to be an undeniable chemistry between the characters. I just did not get that from these two characters. It felt like these characters were more like friends that flirt with each other and not like two people who are like madly like in love with each other. You know what I mean? Like, nobody wants to watch a rom-com where it's like, oh, these two people are just like really good friends who flirt with each other. No, we want to know that these two characters are like madly in love with each other and are doing she things that are cute. I just did not get that from these two characters. Separately, they did good. Like, their acting with other people were decent. I just wish that I didn't. I wish I was able to be enthralled in the world of their relationship, and that just did not happen for me. Getting on to the cinematography and visuals, you know, they were great. Very clean shots, warm lighting, that help, like, you know, create the settings, which, if you didn't know, it's set in New York City. There is nothing super groundbreaking, although I will say it felt more like a TV show more than anything. It felt kind of like I was watching like Gossip Girl or like One Tree Hill or something, but like with better camera. Now on to the directing. As I said, when I was watching the film, my brain was telling me like, this feels like I'm watching like a television show. And it was giving Gossip Girl, it was giving One Tree Hill, but again, in vibes, I was like, they're using better cameras and they're not fading to black, you know? It's not fading to black and I'm not getting an Arby's commercial. You catch what I'm saying? And as I was doing my research, I found out that this is Alan Paul's first and only featured film. Now, this is not his first time directing a movie. He's directed a lot of movies that was made for television, but he mostly directed episodic works, such as The Newsroom, which he had directed 7 episodes. More recently, Tokyo Vice, which he directed 3 of them. Some of the TV movies that he directed were End of the World from 2016, Modern Love from 2012, and Pink Collar from 2006. Nevertheless, it made sense why I had those feelings when I was watching the movie. It's not a bad thing, don't get me wrong. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I just noticed that I had that feeling when I was watching it. I now know why I had those feelings. The themes. At its core, The Backup Plan is a film that tries to explore modern womanhood, independence, and the idea that love isn't always to follow a timeline, which is everything that makes a good romantic comedy. So let's get into a little bit of the cons in the film. I was going to go in of the writing of the film and how I think it was a bust for me, but I had the chance of looking up the deleted scenes. Unfortunately, in my DVD, it did not have any deleted scenes, but I had a chance to look up the deleted scenes on YouTube, and I found that some of the scenes that were cut, I feel would have fit perfectly in the movie and would have honestly explained a lot more to us that we weren't given. So I decided not to talk about writing issues because it clearly was an editing issue. And besides feeling like the two leads weren't connected on a chemistry level, the what could have been a good storyline falls a bit short. Like, honestly, all was forgiven way too quickly for me. I mean, he did not hold like his own for like a single second. He folded immediately like a lawn chair at the first opportunity he could when Zoe came back to apologize. Also, the way that Zoe went immediately into like, I'm leaving you, for saying that like he didn't get her pregnant was kind of crazy, considering There was like no malice in his tone. He didn't say it like, what? I didn't get her pregnant. Like, he was just like, yeah, I mean, you might be shocked I didn't get her pregnant though. Like, so it was crazy that she was immediately like, I knew it. We're done. Like, whoa. Give him some chances. Strict. She runs a very strict program. I mean, I will give her the benefit of the doubt though. Maybe it was the hormones. It most definitely probably was the hormones that was making her emotionally imbalanced. But it's like a lot of the reactions don't always match the logic of the situation, making it feel like we need these two characters to fall out with each other, so let's just put something here and like make that happen really quick. There wasn't enough conflict between the two regarding that situation for it to be like, this is like a final straw for me, I'm done with you kind of thing, like it felt very random. Did she have this question in her head throughout the movie? Sure. I mean, and by that, I mean, she probably mentioned it like once before. But like, other than that, we don't have any like inkling of why she would be feeling this way. Like, Stan didn't do anything else that would make her feel like you're not gonna like be all in on this baby, like there was nothing of that sort. So it was very confusing to why that was the breaking point in the situation, Also, I can't be the only one who cannot see Jennifer Lopez owning a pet store. To me, that just felt very unrealistic, and and we only see her in this pet store like 3 times. Like 3 times throughout the movie. She's supposed to be this well-known, lavish pet store owner. We only see her in the store 3 times. It was very unbelievable that she would ever own and operate a high-end pet store. I don't think I would ever seen Jennifer Lopez in a pet store. It was just one of those things that was just so unrealistic that I could not get into that in her character. It was just unbelievable. So let's get into a standout scene in the movie. For me, it had to be the first date scene. It was one of the only scenes in the film where for a split second, and I mean like 2 minutes exactly, I was thinking, these two characters might actually like each other, maybe have a connection with each other. Then the scene ends and I don't feel that spark anymore. But going back into the scene, Jennifer's mannerisms really sell it. Again, might not be the biggest Jennifer Lopez fan, but she acted well in this scene. I think this and the opening scene really sold me on this being a decent acting performance from her. Again, giving credit where credit is due. Alex also does a really good job yearning in this scene. It feels like they had fun filming this particular scene, making it feel more natural in a sense. I felt a bit immersed in their world for a second. This was like the only scene for me where this really sells it. Like, they actually might like be on the first day, like they're actually they're actually giddity. Giggity, giggity, goo. They're actually giddy with each other, and they're like flirting, and they're, it just seems natural, like they're wanting to actually get to know each other. Let's compare this movie to a couple different ones that you may know or you may not know. Some films that could be compared to The Backup Plans are Knocked Up. It's a 2007 romantic comedy written and directed by Jude Apatow. It's different though, because it focuses more on the comedy aspects than the romance, but it is considered a romantic comedy. It's about 2 strangers that are forced to have a relationship because of a one-night stand. Hence the name, Knocked Up. It has the same things of love not having a set timeline and can this actually work type relationship. Knocked Up more focuses harder on character growth, whereas The Backup Plan don't really, for like all the characters, if that makes sense. Like, the characters do grow, but like towards the end of the movie, and we only really see the character regression of one person, which is Stan, in my opinion. The next film I will be comparing this one to is Baby Mama. It's a 2008 romantic comedy written and directed by Michael McCullers. This one has Amy Poehler and Tina Fey in it. Very funny duo. They're so funny in anything that they're in together. But this one heavily focuses on the comedy aspect of it as well. But again, it is considered a romantic comedy. It has similar plots and themes, and the similarities are the unconventional paths to motherhood and love while finding partners throughout the process. So although these two films Knocked Up and Baby Mama aren't necessarily exactly like The Backup Plan. They do have very similar themes, and they're both funny. Again, comedy is subjective. Now for my rating. I give this movie a 4.5 out of 10. I don't hate the film, but I don't like hardcore love it either. Would I watch it again? I'm not opposed to it for Valentine's or whatever. So if you're a fan of those cheesy, tropey, romantic comedies and possible nostalgia of the early/late 2000s, then this movie might be worth a watch for you. I sometimes be in the mood for that. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, this might be something that I would watch over again, but not religiously. If you're not a fan of romantic comedies, then I don't think you should go near this movie. I think if you're going to step into the romantic comedy genre, maybe this is not the first movie you should be watching. There are better options out there. At the end of the day, The Backup Plan has a very solid premise and surprisingly decent lead performances, albeit separately. It was held back by the lack of reward in the story. But tell me what you think. Did you enjoy the movie more than I did? Or do you agree that it's lacking more depth? Let me know in the comments and follow me on my other social media channels. And until next time, keep watching Real Media. Bye now.